drink. And go live. And we're live here on Facebook. Like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And also like to welcome you, Rich.
Hey, how's it going today, Mike? And
Good.
also, welcome to the folks watching us on the YouTube.
It's going really well. I have my new toy right there that you can see. We'll get that. I'm working on it. I'm doing some stuff. So, got to get that ready to go. Once that's ready to go, uh, that might be in the background printing things while we're doing our show. Just for
Gotcha.
funsies.
So,
Um,
so Mike, for the benefit of the podcast listeners, what is that toy that is off to your left? The podcast people can't see that.
it's a 3D printer.
Okay,
So, um, also you'll notice that there's a lot less fish in here, but there might be a lot more fish in here all at the same time. We have a
hmm,
pregnant mommy who is giving birth, and we're trying to make sure, like the males were all hounding her for stuff, and so we took the males out of here, trying to protect the mom and the babies, so that the babies can be birthed well. Once the babies are birthed, we'll get the mom upstairs, and hopefully all those babies will grow out in here really well, and we'll have lots of fish in here. We also have the 75 upstairs that now have fish in it. So
hmm,
all the tanks have fish except for the medicine tank that's over there that you can't see. You can kind of see, but you can't really see it. And that's just for quarantining fish that need to be quarantined.
okay.
So, uh, and it's been a good week. So, how's your week going?
Not too bad. So just working some extra hours with
Nice.
a lot of incoming work coming into our methods bay, which is just material that needs new packaging because the condition that it was returned in is not acceptable for it's not acceptable for restocking in the main warehouse. So we've had a lot of that material coming through our area lately. Um, but that's just part of the job. And home improvement projects are coming along. We got the
Good.
staircase. We got our new staircase done. That was completed last week, and then bathroom is coming along, and we're starting to do some stuff outside now. So
Nice.
trimming up some bushes and digging out some stuff we don't want anymore.
Yeah, ours is starting to do that. We're hoping to get an egress window in the next month, but we're not sure yet.
All right, Mike. So we got a really big show today, Mike.
Yeah.
We got to circle back for the second time this year and kind of talk about the NBA and the NHL.
Yep.
Kind of look back at the predictions that we made before those seasons started. Now with the playoffs starting, we got to see how we did on those,
Yeah.
as well as maybe do a quick check in on the NFL as some news came out of the NFL this week. Mike, what else are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the Chicago Cubs, and we also have the NASCAR corner. All that and more. But first, let's roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, so Rich, as we talked about every week, we have a poll question. This week's poll question was Jump Around or Seven Nations Army. Where did you vote?
I went with Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, yeah, I think I did too, if I remember correctly. Um,
While you're looking up the poll results, I know we got a shout out we got to give. Once again, my dad made the comments of, can we vote against a song? So once again, I think he was going for the Brewster's Millions vote, none of the above.
Yeah, I understand that. I am a vote for. Sorry, I just got a notification and I have to do something in the middle of it. But yeah, 66% of the votes went for Seven Nations Army. That's you, me, Zach, and Haley. My niece and her, my oldest niece and her husband.
Yeah.
And Josh Couture and Josh Hendricks voted for Jump Around.
All right. Thank you for everybody who voted. This week, we're going to be going to classic rock, and we will see We Will Rock You by Queen going up against Start Me Up from the Rolling Stones.
Man, that's good.
So I'll probably try and get that up sometime tomorrow. So, Mike, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn?
It is a left turn, Mike. And what's after that?
Another left turn?
It is, Mike. And where does that take us?
That takes us into the NASCAR Corner, presented by, as always, by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out on 5th Avenue for all your sports memorabilia needs, or on their eBay store. Also, check them out tomorrow, as it is National Hockey Card Day, and they're doing a giveaway.
Nice.
So, yeah, check them out for that. You have to do. I think that's in store only, so do that on their store. But National Hockey Card Day tomorrow. Go get your free card.
All right, Mike. So last week we were in the last great Coliseum, Bristol, for the Food City Dirt Race. Mike, the race winner was Christopher Bell, who was the guy that I picked. So I pick up 2 points on you, Mike, as your pick of Kyle Busch finished on the opposite end of the grid, coming in 3 seconds.
Now, I want to point out, Kyle Busch was doing really good in the first 2/3 of that race.
He was.
And then I fell asleep, so I don't know what happened. But
I don't remember what happened either off the top of my head. I mean, I thought it was a pretty clean race compared to previous years out on the dirt. So, yeah, I mean, there was, now you were talking about the dirt race.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Do you think it's going to continue?
I don't see how it doesn't continue. The racing that they had this week was, for me, some of the best racing I've seen on the dirt. And if they can continue to keep it looking like this, I'm here for it. Like, totally it was completely awesome. The racing lines there were multiple racing lines. There's the dirt track sliding looked really good. It looked like an old-fashioned dirt race, and I'm here for it. I love dirt track racing. I would love to go to more. I don't get to go to hardly any currently, but as the kids get older, hopefully that can be a fun night out for the family. Take them up to the races and stuff. It generally is fairly decent, dirty, clean fun, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, I remember I was watching a YouTube video. I don't remember who the content creator was, but they were talking about the Bristol Dirt Race, seeing if that would be a race that would continue because of not just to see, all right, is there enough in-person fan interest to keep that race there? Or would NASCAR possibly want to get into a larger market with the Nashville Fairgrounds racetrack getting renovated to where they could cut that race, take one race away from Bristol, and then move that race over to Nashville to get them into a larger market, and then that could in turn create more interest for Bristol, since the fans that would go to that game, that race, would only have one race possibly to go to instead of two. Create more of a demand for the tickets.
I would argue that Bristol will continue to have two races. They won't cut it for a race just at Nashville. They might put a race at Nashville, but they won't cut, because Bristol's one of those tracks that I will not say 100% because I don't like speaking in 100% hardly ever,
Hmm.
which is in and of itself 100. Anyway, I try to limit my guarantees, but NASCAR going to Bristol 2 times a year is a thing. Now, for much of my younger years, them going to Wilkesboro was a normal thing. Going to Darlington multiple times a year was a normal thing. So I could be wrong, but I think where they might cut stuff out, I don't think they'll cut out Martinsville or Bristol. I think those two are fairly safe. I think the two Daytonas are fairly safe. Um,
Two Talladegas is probably going to be
yeah,
fairly safe.
two Talladega is going to be fairly safe. I don't know where they would cut it from.
Well, I mean, I know they want to have a presence out in Fontana, but what would happen eventually? Fontana's going to be off the schedule for 2 years.
Yeah,
What happens if the new track that they put on the schedule, if that if that does so well that they can't afford to go Fontana back, but maybe they go to a spot that they do a rotating course every year. One track comes off, and then they put a different track on, and it's kind of rotated to
so
where if the Cup Series doesn't go to that particular track, the Xfinity and the trucks will.
I have. I don't know how much you want to get into my theory of a great way to do NASCAR as a whole. Um, but
And I think we have discussed this before, because like you were talking, I think we talked about this when there was news that when Kentucky and Chicagoland got dropped,
yeah,
and
that's one of my big ones. And I think there are ways to do it, and we can get into that today. I think we have a lot more to talk about, so let's put that off. We'll put that on the schedule
yeah,
next week because next week, no, we have that to do. Let's look at maybe 3 weeks out. We'll talk about scheduling and what I think of
we'll
the
find a
schedule.
way to get it back on.
Um,
We'll find a way to talk about it a little bit.
we're going into. I mean, the playoffs for NHL and NBA after this week are going to take a while. It's just going to. They take a month or two to get to the end of them. So we don't have a lot. We have plenty of time to let those continue to play while we talk NASCAR a little bit longer. But we are heading from Bristol to Martinsville. Did you enjoy the race? I guess it would be another question I would ask.
Yeah, I enjoyed the dirt race. I think I took a little bit of a NASCAR nap somewhere in there, which threw off. But you know what? It threw off my sleep schedule since it was a night race.
I know, right? Night races, I love them, but yes, they throw off your. They can really throw off your schedule. This week we are heading into Martinsville Speedway for the NOCO 400,
Yes, the NOCO 400.
um, and that is at 3:15 or 2:15 Central Standard Time, daylight time.
Yeah,
Daylight time.
yeah. Central Time. Central Time.
Yep.
I think that one's
2:15.
over on FS1. You gotta go. It's on the cable side this week. Um,
You should be able to watch that then.
yeah. I'll be watching it.
So
So Mike, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep the trend alive. I'm gonna keep the string going of picking somebody different every week, and I'm gonna go with William Byron. He's hot right now. He's a previous Martinsville winner, and he tends to do really well at that track.
yeah,
Mike, who you picking?
I'm gonna pick someone that I think has not been as hot, but does tend to do well in Martinsville. I'm gonna go with Austin Dillon.
Okay.
What?
No. That's your pick.
Well,
That's your pick.
you got opinions?
I kind of do. Before I went on, I had to look at his stats, and there's some from what I saw, there are a lot more finishes in the 20s than there are in the top 10s.
That's all right. I'm still gonna pick him. Uh,
Okay.
um, so we actually have quite a bit of We have two other pieces of NASCAR news this week. Uh, let's go with the good news first, and then the bad news second. If you want to share the good
All right.
news.
Yeah, the good news, Chase Elliott is coming back to the Napa racing machine, as they like to call it on MRN radio. So yeah, the number 9, Chase Elliott coming back from his tibia injury. So I don't, from a fantasy standpoint, I don't know if I'm ready to put him back in my lineup just yet. I
Would you
want to see how
consider
he
him
does.
in a garage position?
No,
No.
he's not on my roster this week of 6.
I have him on my garage position because if he's doing quite well, I'll move him in. Probably
Mm.
won't because I don't do well about keeping up with that. But you know,
Well,
but
yeah, it's nice to see him back. I
yep,
was hoping that he'd be back. By the time we go out, my wife and I go out to Kansas. Is Chase Elliott's a guy I like kind of follow along the racetrack.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm glad he's going to be back.
okay.
But but you got to hand it off to Josh Berry. He had a couple of good finishes out there filling in for him.
Do you think because it was a fill-in contract that he could get picked up for another fill-in contract? Maybe for Cody Ware.
I don't know because I mean, I is not Cody Ware is not in the. I don't know if Josh Berry would be in a position with being a Hendrick driver or somebody that's connected to Hendrick, if he'd be able to fill in for somebody outside of that organization since he is like a truck series driver for them.
Sorry. It depends on the contract that they have. Sometimes their contracts don't include the upper series or have a upper series part-time option, like allows them to go to other teams for part-time purposes. So, speaking of Cody
Um,
Ware,
I do have one more thing on Chase Elliott before we talk about Cody Ware though.
yep,
It was announced that the NASCAR governing body would give him a injury exception.
yep,
So if he wins a race or qualifies for the playoffs on points, he will be eligible for the playoff field.
yeah. Same thing. I mean, honestly, it's the same thing that they did with Kurt Busch. Which, oh man, have you been listening to him and how much he just wants to be out on the track? He's been doing booth stuff for a bunch of the races this year, and to hear him talk about how sad and how much he wants to be in a car but can't is crazy. And at this point, you gotta wonder to yourself, is he ever gonna get the green light? And I hope he does. But in bad news for NASCAR, or more for Cody Ware,
Mm.
he has been arrested and bonded out, and all that for domestic assault, and by strangulation, inflicting serious injury, and assault on a female. So he apparently was booked and then bonded out, and his first court appearance is Monday next week, it sounds like.
Yeah, I just found the story on NASCAR because I hadn't had a chance to really read up on it,
Yeah.
other than seeing just the headline. But it was he has been suspended indefinitely.
Yeah. If these allegations, I mean, if he pleads guilty, or if he pleads guilty or it comes out that I don't want to get too grotesque and too adult on here. We are after dark, but you know, I don't. We try to be a family-friendly show. I wonder if it's a similar situation to Trevor Bauer.
Yeah,
If
I don't
you
know.
we
They really didn't offer too many information on
yeah,
what exactly
and we won't know
the
until
intent was.
the court case stuff and what he pleads and all this, that, and the other. Um, again,
Do you think?
we're doing
Go
our
ahead.
best to not get graphic on it and not get inappropriate. But if there was some sort of consensuality about this, uh, I don't want to say that there's a like. I don't know the facts of the case. If it wasn't consensual and it wasn't, and it turns out accurate, I hope the guy rots in jail for the rest of his life. If there was some consent happening and it might have gone too far, uh, that's still not acceptable. Can't.
No, well, no matter what the charges are with it, it was the story I have indicating that he was held felony charges of assault by strangulation and inflict serious injury and a misdemeanor charge of assault on a female.
Right.
Does it with those charges, whether no matter where the case falls, with him being on a lower tier team in Rick Weir Racing,
Yeah.
is he? Have we probably seen the last of Cody Ware in NASCAR? No matter what happens with the case.
Um, unless he is fully cleared of charges, and I don't know how. I don't know the case super. All we read the basic headline, and that we've read to you basically what is out there currently. But if that is accurate, if the case is totally thrown out, 100%. No. If it goes to trial, maybe. If he's found guilty, and there was no, I'll say consent again, and there was no consent, I would say maybe again.
I think he's got to be done.
Or no,
I mean,
no, you're right.
I think he's done regardless of how
Really?
this plays out. I mean, it is. I guess for me, I mean, I don't know much about Rick, the racing
Yeah.
team, his racing team or him. I can only comment on what I see him performance-wise, race in and race out. But for a guy that's struggling to finish in the top 20, talents. The talent isn't it. The talent and his talent's not going to be the one that's going to keep him in the race when there's other guys possibly down in the lower tier series that could jump up and take his place. But with a one car operation, it's really probably is really hard
He's been
to
competing
get
for
footing.
for 10 years almost. Or is it 5? I don't remember. I had it up and then I closed the story.
But I guess it could help that your name is Cody Ware and you race for Rick Ware Racing
Yeah.
as well. So that could keep him. That could he could find his way back to the track as well.
Yeah.
Find his way back into the car, competing at the top level as well. So if you are a Cody Ware, if you were planning on getting him into your fantasy lineup this week, make sure to update that and take him out, as Zane Smith will be coming up from the Truck Series to pilot that car, at least in Martinsville.
Yeah.
Mike, anything else in the NASCAR world?
I don't think so. So,
All right.
Rich, will
Well,
you
that
take us
was
out?
yep, that was the NASCAR Corner, presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Fifth Avenue, Moline, Illinois, on eBay. Make sure to go over there this Saturday for a special giveaway as it is National Hockey Card Day.
Yep.
Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Mike, let's go ahead and keep making left-hand turns, but go out to the baseball diamond as our Cubbies had 2 games against the Rangers, 3 against the Mariners, and they're currently playing the Dodgers while we are recording this episode. So,
Yep.
Mike, they split from show to show. They split with the Rangers. They took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, and we won't count the Dodger game. So that gives them 3-2.
Yep. Which means that I won the week.
You did.
So,
Not a bad week, especially that Wednesday game.
yeah.
That Wednesday night game. They're down 7-1 in the third inning.
A curses on Wednesday night. I had a pretty bad. No, no, that was Tuesday, I thought. Because they lost Wednesday's game. Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Wednesday was
Yeah.
a
That's
1
right.
o'clock.
Tuesday night. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, it was. I had a rough day that day. Like, I had a meeting that went super long and ended up not hydrating enough and tried to rehydrate and still couldn't kick a migraine that I had going on. So I went to bed like at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I don't even remember. So I missed most of that game. You did text me. That was quite amazing. Uh, Man, it was great. Finish telling people what happened. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, they were down in the third inning. They were down 7-1. I know my wife and I were working out in the yard. Came in, looked at the phone, like 7-1. Well, not gonna happen this time. And then I start seeing the runs just rolling in. 7-3, 7-3, 7-4. Put the game on the radio to see what's going on. They get the bases loaded, and rookie outfielder that just got called up, Nelson Velasquez, hits a grand slam to put them ahead, and the Cubs ended up winning 14-8.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm happy to see that. They also
And they
used uh, a lot of relief pitching, which kind of put them in a bind on Wednesday
for
for
the
their
win.
their
Yeah,
day game, which is now why they ended up. I would say probably why they lost the game.
probably. As far as let's give me a moment here. At least let's see how they're at least doing
They are
against the Dodgers.
up 3-1 in the getting ready to head into the sixth.
All right. Not a bad day. Not a bad day if you can get out of LA with a couple of victories before going up. Is it up or down to go out to Oakland?
Up, it's north.
Up. Okay. All right, Mike. So this week they got 2 in LA. They're going to go up to Oakland for 3 games before coming back to Wrigley to face the Dodgers.
Yep. By the way, it's only going to be 1 game with the Dodgers, and it depends
Oh.
on what time that game is. And I'll explain.
Oh, okay. So we'll go
afterwards.
one. We'll go one.
Yeah, because that'll be a Friday game, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be a Friday game.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it's a
Well,
Friday day game if I remember correctly. Um,
that is a Friday day game. It's a Thursday night game and then a Friday day game.
okay, so we will
So
get both.
we won't. So yeah. So if we do a Friday night show, we would not be recording during a game. So
Okay.
we'll be 2 with the Dodgers. How many wins you going to give them, Mike?
I'm going to give them 4. I think
I'm going to go.
they're playing well.
I'm going to go with 3 this week.
Okay.
So the Dodgers are still a tough team. I don't know if they're the same Dodger team that they used to be. And maybe if you come out of LA riding high to where you could take 2 out of 3, or you get at least get one out of LA. Maybe there's a trap game with the A's as
Yeah,
well.
and I think you could. The bigger I mean, the harder part is, and I think LA's home field advantage is actually even better. Or not LA, Oakland's advantage is even better. How many of these teams are used to playing, and especially the Cubs? How many of these teams are used to playing uh, games that aren't at least 3/4 sold out? They can't even get a half sold out for opening day game. I mean, yeah, Cubs fans. So I think the Cubs fans, if they show up in Oakland, is going to help the Cubs way more. But
Hmm,
if they don't travel there, then it's going to hurt them.
gotcha. So there was some Cub news to come out.
Yeah.
Ian Happ re-signed. He got re-signed for 3 years, $61 million. Mike, what is your thoughts on it? I've got my own, but I'll let you give yours first.
Um, I'm going to say I'm okay with it, and I'm not going to. Ian Happ is a good enough player to deserve getting re-signed. Also, he's right in that stage where, especially if he gets hot this year, these next couple of years are going to be the heart of his best play. In theory, his age wise, looking at statistics of how baseball players go, most of the time he's going into his peak years. So if we're getting him in his peak years for that price, for that many years, I'm okay with it. And I'll let you make your argument how you feel, and then I'll close out with some other statements.
Okay. So for me, I mean, as a fan, um, I do kind of like Ian Happ. During the COVID season and baseball was shut down for COVID, and even while the season was coming back, I enjoyed listening to his podcast, The Compound, and just he was just an interesting guy. I
Yeah.
liked listening to him and Zach Short, and
Are they still doing that?
oh, I think they are still going.
I need
He's
to
still
subscribe to
that's
that
still
one.
going. They're with John Boy Media now, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
But
knew that.
yeah, but I mean, did great content, liked listening to him and everything. But from a baseball perspective, they're all the Cubs' top prospects played the same position, which is the outfield.
Yep.
So now you've got Ian Happ locked up for 3 years, and you still got Seiya Suzuki for 4 more years.
Yep.
So that leaves center field and the DH,
Okay.
where you can rotate some guys in. So you got Pete Crow Armstrong knocking at the door. Brennan Davis is still there, is still in AAA, trying to get some more at bats after losing a year for injury wise. You got Alexander Chirino, the guy from the Giants in the Chris Bryant trade, and prospect down in South Bend, Kevin Alcantara.
Yep.
Really good outfielders. So for me, when your top prospects are also play the same position, I don't know if I would have re-signed Ian Happ.
Rich. Okay.
That's just me.
So
That's just me.
so I alluded to it because I knew what your position was, and I kind of knew where you were going with it. Are you all right if I give you a little bit of a rebuttal to your
Yeah,
points?
I don't mind.
Okay. One. In 2015, when we signed a young man named Kyle Schwarber, how many catchers did we have on the roster?
We drafted Kyle Schwarber.
Oh,
We
when
didn't
we
sign
drafted
him,
him.
but okay.
Right. When we
But yeah,
drafted him.
you already had Miguel Montero and Dave Ross on the staff, and you had a young man by the name of Wilson Contreras starting to get some playing time.
So we had 4 catchers. Why would you draft a guy as a prospect who's a catcher? You already have 3 on your team that you likely are going to see in the. You have 2 that are major leaguers already, and then you have one. So you're gonna have 4 catchers. How many catchers play on a field at once?
One.
So we're gonna put 4 of them on our roster. How crazy is that idea?
In fairness, when Schwarber was drafted, yes, he was drafted as a catcher.
Right.
But at the time he was drafted, it was already put into place. All right, we're going to try this guy out in the outfield and hope for the best.
Yep. And how'd that go? It went well. I'm not saying it's easy in the middle of your AAA or even high 2A to switch positions. But it worked out all right for us, I think.
Yeah, by all means, maybe you take one of those outfielders and have them start taking reps at first base. Or maybe start taking reps at third base.
Also, Ian Happ is a proven commodity. He might not be the best outfielder out there. He might not win you a gold glove, and he might not, but he's consistent and he's solid. But what's his tradability? It
depends on who else is available at the season and how well he is doing. By all means, I get the point with it being you know what you got. You know what you got in Ian Happ.
I actually have a better point here.
Okay.
I have a better point. I'm leading you along. I'm working the witness. Let me work the witness. Okay. We see how these prospects are, but have they proven anything in the big leagues?
Not yet, as only one of them is even at AAA right now.
By the way, better yet, these guys, what are their grades as prospects? I think they're all at least A's as it goes right now. These are all 3. All the guys that you're talking about are all guys that are looking like they will be in the majors in a couple of years, right?
Yeah. In all of baseball,
yep.
Crow Armstrong is number 25.
Okay.
Out of all the majors.
That's a pretty high prospect, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alcantara's an 80. Brennan Davis is 85.
Wow. So out of the 3,000 baseball players in the minor league system, they're all top 100 prospects, right?
Yeah, those 3 guys.
Okay. Well, what can you get for a top prospect in trades?
You can get what you need.
Okay. So if you have 3 top 100 prospects, you can probably come trade deadline say, "Hey, what do you think of what these guys are doing? You want to get them?" Yeah. They're still not proven. They still have nothing that says they're going to actually be great, other than how they're doing in the minor leagues and how they did in high school and how they did in college if they did the college route. To me, that is actually more valuable for trade fodder. And so you still have at least 2 guys locked into your outfield, and you have 3 guys that you could trade, possibly 4. And by the way, I think Seiya Suzuki could probably be decent, traded really well. I don't think you want to do that because you're still on his rookie deal and you're still doing things in a way that helps you. Like, he's still relatively cheap and he's still really good. So I don't think you trade him. But I think the other 3 that you mentioned today, likely that we could trade and get. You could almost, if you're willing to trade 2 of them at once, you can probably get a decent first baseman. You could get probably a pretty good. You might be able to get an extra pitcher. If you're willing to put all 3 of them out there, you could get some really great talent that are in the majors right now. So for me, I'm okay if they want to do that.
Yeah, I'm just on the fence with it. I'm not saying nope, terrible, shouldn't have re-signed him. They should have let him walk or traded him at the deadline if he's doing well. It's just with the state of the Cubs are in. Are they going to? Yes, they're better than they were last year. They're
Yep.
probably better than they were 2 years ago.
Yep.
But during the course of Ian Happ's contract, and maybe it is. You know what? When the in year two of the contract, maybe these guys that maybe they're finally ready to where they're pushing hard. You can't ignore these. You
Yeah.
can't keep the guys down in the minors anymore. Maybe that's when you trade Ian Happ off with 2 years remaining on his contract instead of
Yeah.
1 year.
I-
Or Suzuki could be on the trading block at that point too.
Yeah, I totally think that's even more reason to kind of look at it that way. So for me, I think this actually turns out to be. I know that you're hesitant about it, but I think you can agree that either A, it's good veteran leadership that he brings to the table amongst a young core and Cody Bellinger, um, but a fairly young group for the most part, and he brings that, and then on top of it, it's just I don't know. I like it. I like it as a move, so I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, and I'll give that one to you. The impression that I've gotten out of Happ is that he seems to be a really good clubhouse guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
sometimes you can't put a that's hard to put a value on.
yep. Okay.
All right, Mike. Anything else in the world of baseball?
I got nothing. Do you?
Um, I would have had something if the Rays could have pulled off a win tonight.
Yeah, that would have been great.
But the Red Hot Rays, 13-0, they tied like the modern baseball record to start a season. But I remember seeing something on the Facebook feed this week.
Speaking
Today.
of Facebook, hang on. Speaking of Facebook, we do have a Facebook shout out.
Okay.
Our friend of the show, Matt Erickson, says Ian Happ did win a Gold Glove last year. I forgot about that. I totally forgot
Oh.
about that. And then Matt Barfus is going to be a future first baseman. That's
Yep.
his
Yeah,
guess.
I like Mervis.
And then he totally agrees. None of the prospects are switch hitters either. That's switch hitter is the. I think that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. It is great to have that as an option, and he does well on both sides. So thank you, Matt, for joining in on the conversation. So you saw you were seeing something on Facebook
No, no.
about.
But they said if they could have pulled off the win and got started 14-0, they
Yeah.
would have tied the major league record, which was set in 1884.
So they didn't pull off the win.
They did not. They
Oh,
lost
that's a bummer.
63 today to the Blue Jays.
That's a bummer. I would have liked to
But
see
the-
them do that.
Yeah, but I guess the major league record, never even heard of this team before, the St. Louis Maroons,
Huh.
1884.
That should
So
be
I
your
don't know if
favorite
that,
team, Rich.
yeah, maybe.
So,
All right.
so with that, we do have some stuff. Hey, it's a good thing Matty Erickson is on the viewing currently, as we do have some stuff in the NFL to talk about. I got a question for you, Rich. We we have to do our weekly check. Where is Aaron Rodgers?
He's still in Green Bay, or in his terms, he's in limbo.
He's still in Green Bay. Let's talk about it. He's in Green Bay. They haven't come up to an agreement, and it sounds like the trade talks have actually stalled, if not kind of stopped altogether after the owners meeting. I don't know what that officially means, but to me, is that trade gonna happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I think when I was driving into work listening to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, the national ESPN, they were saying that I guess the Jets want to put some conditions on the draft pick that would come next year, based on whether Aaron Rodgers finishes out his contract and plays year 2 in New York, because they're afraid that he could play for the 1 year and say, you know what, go into the whole start over the drama. Do I want to play again? Do I not want to play again? And then they decides to retire, and they possibly gave up a second round pick this year and a first round pick next year.
Yeah.
To get him for 1 year.
So we are next week. We are going to do our NFL draft preview, and we're gonna both do a top 10 draft pick mock draft, and we'll kind of see where we're at. We'll as we do that, I will predict. I'm actually thinking that what the Jets are trying to do is put off this year's draft pick altogether, and then say we'll give you a first and a second round next year, maybe, but yeah. So Aaron Rodgers still a Green Bay Packer as of right now.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson got a new target though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they signed Odell Beckham Jr., one of the guys that Aaron wanted the Jets to sign because he was on that was on his wish list.
Yeah.
To play with OBJ, but he's going to go out to Baltimore, and there's still no guarantee that Lamar Jackson will be back. He hasn't signed the tender. Nobody's coming out saying, yeah, well, here's the offer. Do you want to match it, Baltimore, or do you want to let him come play with us, and we'll give up 2 first-round picks for him?
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is that you'll see. I don't think, again, I think the other side is that if they wait till after the draft, then they don't have to give a draft pickup this year. That's the first step. The second step is that I don't see I don't see other people really looking at him all that closely. But we'll see. And I think that his best opportunity is actually a trade on the almost a sign-in trade for that. I think that's his best bet, but we'll see. We again have another comment from Matty Erickson. Matt says that the Packers hold all the cards because Rodgers is under contract. Totally, that's what I've been saying. What I have been saying since day one of him going into darkness, and even before that, I've said that Aaron Rodgers did the Green Bay Packers hold all the cards. If he decides that he wants to just quit outright, he can. But the Packers hold all of the cards. He doesn't think they're going to take another. He'll trade if he doesn't, or he'll retire if he doesn't get traded. I agree. And then he won't take another stab in Green Bay. Looks like he is predicting the Packers are going to finish below 500. Jordan Love is below average, and the receivers are as well. I think that's very accurate insight. I think that is very well said. And it's going to be a rough couple of years. I think that's part of the reason why they definitely were trying to get that first round pick this year for him, as they would likely draft or try to trade up in the draft to get a better quarterback there and try to help them out a little bit. But they need receivers. They need and they need somebody better than Jordan Love. So, okay. Anything else in the NFL you want to talk about, Rich, before we move on to the NHL and the NBA?
No, I do not.
Okay, in the NHL, do you want to give us a wrap up or a recap of who we predicted and then where they are?
Sure. So we'll start over in the Atlantic Division. That was won by the Boston Bruins. Mike, you said that the Lightning was your prediction for the division winner. They still made the playoffs as they finished third in their division.
Okay.
I picked the Florida Panthers. They finished fourth, missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
In the Metropolitan Division, we both picked the Hurricanes. In the Central Division, we both picked the Avalanche. The Avalanche and the Hurricanes both made the playoffs. In the Pacific Division, Mike, the Golden Knights won the division. You picked the Calgary Flames, who finished fifth, missing the playoffs. I picked the Edmonton Oilers, who finished second in their division.
Yeah.
Mike, for your Stanley Cup pick, you went with the Lightning over the Avalanche. Are you going to stick with it?
I'm going to stick with it.
All right. I said the Panthers over the Oilers. The Panthers didn't make the playoffs. So I'm going to switch over to the Devils.
Okay.
Over the Oilers.
Okay.
I have, once again, no really idea of how this will work out or how well they do. The Devils finished second in the Metropolitan Division.
Okay. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna stick with mine as I think both those teams are good teams, and we'll see how they do. So, yeah. And then anything else in the NHL before we head over to the NBA?
No, so keep track of we'll probably try to keep an eye on how our teams are doing
Yep.
in the Stanley Cup Finals as that will be starting. I think it has started here recently.
Yep.
Going over to the hardwood, Mike. Um, we actually did pretty well on getting the division winners, even though it's kind of hard not to get the NBA division winners since like all but four teams in each conference make the playoffs.
Yep.
Um,
One last thing. Matt Erickson says, "Thanks for the shout outs, guys. The NHL isn't his thing, but it'll pop in next time. So we'll look forward to seeing you next week, Matty."
yes, thank you again. All right, Mike. So the teams that we got right.
Yep.
The 76ers, the Bucks, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Hawks. You got the Hawks right. I did not put the Hawks in the playoffs. The Miami Heat and the Brooklyn Nets. The team you got wrong, Mike, in the Eastern Conference was the Hornets, who finished 27 and 55. Um, mine, I got because I'm not counting the play-in tournament.
Right.
I put the Bulls and the Raptors into the playoffs. They both lost in the play-in tournament. The two teams the team that we did not, that neither of us picked, was the New York Knicks.
Man, I feel good about that one. I did a lot of homework on that one, so I feel good. Um,
All right,
Rich,
over in the Western Conference.
I don't,
Our
yeah, I still can't find that. I don't know why I can't find that every time I look for it.
That's all right. I got it up. All right, so the Western Conference teams we got right were the Clippers, the Grizzlies, Nuggets, the Suns, and the Warriors. I put the Lakers in the playoffs and got that one correct. However, there is a pending game going on right now as we both put the Timberwolves into the playoffs. They are currently in a play-in game with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The two teams we missed on, Mike, we both put the Mavericks in the playoffs, and they went into tank mode at the end of the end of the regular season.
In fact, they're getting fined for it.
Yeah, they are getting fined for it as they just missed the play-in tournament. And Mike, you put the New Orleans Pelicans into the playoffs, and they lost in the play-in tournament, largely I think due to Zion Williamson
Yeah.
being injured and out for so long this year. But I still thought it was a good pick.
Yeah.
As if he could have stayed healthy, they would have made it. And my pick of the Lakers, they made it by winning their playing game against the Wolves.
What point do we say Zion Williamson is the biggest bust in NBA history?
I don't think he's a bust. They just got to figure out a way to keep him healthy.
Okay.
There have been other busts.
But here's the thing. Everybody said he came in and he was going to be the I mean, he was touted as the next LeBron James because of his size and his weight and his abilities and blah blah blah. This is what we were expecting from this guy. And he can't stay healthy at all. Has he completed a full season? And I'm not saying rest days that they have to say are injury days, whatever. He's got the poops or something. I don't know what.
No, I don't.
But
I don't think he has completed.
Other
a full
than
season.
I have to take a poop every hour, so I'm sitting out a game. Like that's what I mean. You have to turn in things to the NBA that says this is what's wrong with this guy, and so you can't just be like, oh, he's injured, so take him out. You have to be like, well, he's got this. So on days that they sit guys, if they want to do it the right way, you just tell somebody that that he has the poops, and how are you going to argue against it? Tell me seriously though,
Okay.
how do you argue against somebody having the poops? That's why
No,
it's the greatest way to
don't.
call in every day. Call into work. Best way to do it. So again, I don't. I mean, I'm not trying to say be too gross about it, but whatever. Like, let's look at it right. Like, how
Well,
does
yeah, I mean, with him unable to compete a full season, if you're the Pelicans, do you want to sign him to the max deal, or do you kind of want to trade him off somewhere else to the highest bidder
But
and
who's gonna
see
want
if
him?
somebody else could to see if somebody else will take him,
I
will
can't.
take a chance?
I can't. You're the GM of a team, Rich. We're gonna put you as GM of an NBA team. I know that's probably your least desired sport to be a GM for at this point in time in the NBA, in the scope of the NBA. But currently you are the top. You're the GM. The Pelicans say, "Hey, what will you give us for Zion Williamson? Chewing gum and some Air Jordans? I don't want him. I'm not taking him. What would you do?"
I think I'd roll the dice and go with him because when he's on the floor, he is a great difference maker, and there's a lot of marketability for the guy.
I can't agree with his ability on the court. Seriously, is his ability on the court is great and does put him back to being close to one of the best of all time. But he can't. If he's not on the court, it doesn't matter. And every season he's played, he hasn't been on the court enough to get his team to the playoffs. Even not worth it. Just an update from Matt Erickson. Sorry. Just to let you know what Ian Happ has done tonight. He's 3 for 3 with a single, a double, and a home run. Already worth every penny. Back to back, Happ and Suzuki. Cubs are up 5-2. So
Nice.
Okay.
All right, the NBA team that we missed out on from the Western Conference, pending the results of the Wolves Thunder game, was the Sacramento Kings.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So your preseason pick for the finals was Hawks versus Nuggets. I don't recall which one you said was going to win.
I thought I said Nuggets, but I'm not sure.
All right, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with the Nuggets.
Over the Hawks, or are you going to change
Over the
your
Hawks.
Eastern Conference? Okay. I went with the Warriors over the Sixers, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with it.
Okay. Okay, and that brings us to the end of that. Rich, any quick hits before we do our spoiler?
Well, no. How did your Mario Kart team do?
Oh yeah. You have that under quick hits, so I don't know if
it's there.
Okay. We scored enough points that I'm happy with it. We did take second in our match. It's 3 teams, so we were the middle team. Yeah, we're working on some stuff, so we're getting there. And then do we do our shout outs now or do we wait? I mean, Matt's got a bunch today, but do you want to give shout outs outside of that, or do you want to do the Masked Singer first and then do my shout out?
Go ahead and give the shout out just in case, because we always end up saying, "Oh, it'll just be a quick thing with Masked Singer." We end up talking about it longer.
Yeah.
Just as long as we do our normal topic. So
okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
So today is my baby girl's birthday, so yeah, we get to. That's why we're doing a show tonight, because we get to. We're hosting a birthday party tomorrow. So, happy birthday, baby girl. So, anything else, Rich?
I do not. So, Mike, let's go ahead and give a couple of spoiler alerts. Spoiler alert.
Hey, guess
what?
what?
We talk
Rich?
about.
Guess what? We have a spoiler alert. We are talking about the Masked Singer. We do it every week, as long as the show's on. With that, we will be talking about that. We will give spoilers. So, Rich, if people don't want to listen to the rest of the show, where should they catch us?
Well, you can always find us wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, just to name a few. And Mike, if they're listening to us out in podcast land, but they kind of want to see our faces and see what our backgrounds look like as
Well,
we're talking to each other.
with that, you have two options. One, you have the Facebook. If you like like our page, you'll get the notifications. Make sure you follow us. You'll get the notifications when we go live, and you can join in like Matt Erickson, and be a part of the show. Then you can look at the fishies in the back or whatever I'm printing over here. You can get to see all of it. But if you hate Facebook and you don't mind watching us at a later time, we also have a YouTube channel you can find over there. Rich, they want to participate in our poll questions. Where's the first place those get posted?
That would be fans of Balls and Sticks. But you can also find it on our regular Facebook page, which is Balls and Sticks.
Okay. With that, and a spoiler alert one last time, let's get into the Masked Singer. This week's Masked Singer was Masked Singer in Space. Yeah.
Yep.
That's how I felt.
So, Mike,
about it,
before
too.
we talk about who got unmasked, not taking into account the battle, who was your favorite performer?
That's a hard one. Everybody did a great job this week.
I agree. I liked everybody.
Both my wife and I said, I want them to have saved their second bell and their third bell for this week and saved everybody on this team. Like, everybody deserves to move on to at least one more round. They weren't able to do
But
that.
if you were in the audience and assuming that the votes actually matter when the audience are giving their vote, who would have been your favorite performance of the night?
I think it would have had to been the UFO.
I agree. I mean, I don't
That
know what it is
rendition of
about
Yellow?
Coldplay, but Yellow is like one of those songs where like I hear it and it's like, okay,
And if it's done well, like,
yeah,
it was really I really liked that it was an acoustic guitar underneath her. That's all it was. It was nice and clean. There was a little bit more, but it was nice and clean. But it took it in a different direction, but still gave so much credence, so much love to the original. She kept it basically the same, but in doing so, it just was amazing. I'm here for it, 100%.
yep. So, all right. So, Mike, we had the dandelion and you had the lamp.
Yep.
And the UFO. Who was the first one to go home, Mike?
Man, surprisingly, the dandelion got sent home first. Now, again, I think any of them could have been the winner, and any of them could have gone home. And in any order, I would not be upset, and I'm still not upset.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the lamp going home first myself.
I don't know. She did really well, but it was a very niche song, and it was very. It's one of those songs that's so upbeat and fun. So she did Venus. I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. I'm your desire. That song.
No, that was the lamp.
Right. That's
The
what I'm
lamp
saying.
did Venus.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying she did that song. She did it really well. She did great on it. But it's one of those songs that you don't have to be perfect on. Yellow,
Yeah.
you need to be nearly perfect on. And what did the dandelion do?
Yeah, the backup singers for Venus, the background that sing along with you.
Yeah.
They did, and they were a little louder than.
Yeah, but I still think
but
that
it
the
was still
lamp
good.
did really well. And so I'm sitting here like, I'm not mad at this. I could totally watch it. I could totally enjoy her going on. I'd be fine with that. But let's give the credence to the dandelion. And dandelion did great too. She was the first voted. This is one of those where if they could have saved everybody, they would have, or they should have. They couldn't. So the dandelion goes home. Rich, who is the dandelion?
That was Alicia Witt, who I guess was on The Walking Dead, and the article that I have up from People
Says
magazine.
she was on Dune as well, which is a
Dune,
great show.
yeah, Dune, and I guess she did some Hallmark movies as well.
I wouldn't know
Alicia
any of
Witt.
it.
Yeah, I don't know either. Then it came down to the battle round singing Rocket Man.
By the way,
With
this is where I think the Lamp actually did much better than her first round song. Like legitimately, I thought she did better in that knockout, the battle royale. I think she did much better in that. I
It's
was
still not as good as the UFO though. The UFO
Yeah.
came out and she
Yeah.
did. I loved her. She did a great rendition of Rocket Man.
But if the Lamp had done that rendition of Rocket Man right off the bat, how would you have felt about it?
As her regular song,
Yeah,
yeah, I would have been. I would not have felt that she should have been the first one to go home
right. And
if she had performed Rocket Man as her main song instead of in the battle round.
I think if we would have heard Dandelion, there's a very good chance Dandelion goes on if she sings Rocket Man. Like again, all three of these performers were top notch.
All right, Mike. So who was the second person to go home?
Man,
Because they couldn't save anybody.
And it was somebody I legitimately like last. So we watched this split up. We watched it last night and then tonight. During the clue package, I said Melissa Joan Hart. I didn't text. We were exhausted. Danielle was exhausted, and we ended up. I hit a wall right near then too. But I said I think it could be like the clues look like Melissa Joan Hart, and it was. It was. By the way, shout out to Ken Jeong. Everybody made fun of his guess for Alicia Witt. And it turned out to be her. I actually enjoy when Ken is right. I don't like Ken in general on the show. I think he's annoying. But when he's right, I love that he gets, like, it's like, yeah, he actually did do it. Like, when he does a good job of it, he does a really good job, but nobody believes him because the rest of the time he's like one of us. He's like, I don't have a clue who this is. I'm just going to be annoying and say, I know exactly who this is.
And they always let him guess every single time.
Right.
They let him guess, and then they go to popcorn around the rest of the panel.
And
whether they let them reveal their guest after the performance.
I think it's always because he brings comedy to it, and they need. I mean, the show itself has enough comedy, but they need that comedical joke to make it worthwhile. So, but then we came to the second one. Three of the guests. By the way. The tell on who somebody is, the biggest tell is when they're like, I think it's Melissa Joan Hart. I think it's Melissa Joan Hart. I think it's this other person. I think it's Melissa Joan Hart. Every time that two or more, I think it's mostly two or more, at least 60% of the time, if not.
That person's not going to be moving on.
Well, and not just that, but 60 to 70% of the time, it is that person. Especially at 3, I think it goes up to like 80%. If 3 or more agree, it's up to 80%, and it's crazy. So, yeah. So Melissa Joan Hart was the Lamp. I was shocked at how well she did. I really was, and I applaud her for doing it. So yeah. Anything else you want to share on that note, Rich?
No. So I think next week we get the second chance.
Yeah, I think we get the second chance next week, which will be fun.
Yeah, we get our second chance with that'll see
Gargoyle.
The Gargoyle.
The
Medusa, and is it the praying mantis?
Yeah,
or is it the macaw? The macaw.
No, I think it's the praying mantis. So.
Mantis, yeah.
Okay, with that, Rich, what should I do?
Mike, why don't you go ahead and roll the outro?
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.